This is the single most dangerous lesson in life. It is the hidden truth about every shattered dream, every failed business, and every broken promise you have ever made to yourself. The problem is not the major mistake you fear making, but the one you consider small or harmless. We all know we shouldn't steal, lie, or cheat on a grand scale. But the true danger lies in the tiny compromise you make in your mind, that one small indulgence that your thoughts trick you into believing is just a one-time exception. This one exception is the seed of your self-destruction. Watch this entire story and you will discover why the seemingly smallest wrong choice is the one that has the power to destroy your life and drag you into a pit of failure you never imagined. Long ago, in a kingdom renowned for its strict adherence to law and order, lived a royal priest. This man was a symbol of deep wisdom and righteousness, respected by the king and all the citizens for his devotion and upright life. In this kingdom, rules were absolute, and even the smallest infraction carried a severe consequence. One day, during an important royal ceremony, the priest committed a small public mistake that went against royal protocol. The king was disappointed. Though he respected the priest deeply, he knew he had to uphold the law to maintain the kingdom's discipline. To honor the priest while still upholding justice, the king devised a unique punishment. He presented the priest with 4 choices, each representing one of the 4 cardinal crimes in the kingdom: drinking wine, eating meat, having physical relations with a prostitute, and committing suicide. The priest was to choose and commit just one of these 4 crimes that night in the royal jail.
Locked in his cell that night, the priest was in anguish. He knew he could not choose death, nor could he commit adultery with the beautiful woman in the 3rd room, or break his vows by eating the meat in the 2nd. Slowly his gaze fell upon the 1st room, which held a bottle of wine. He thought, surely, of the 4, drinking wine is the least of the crimes. I will only have a small sip, just enough to satisfy the king's order, and then I will stop. Here is the twist. The priest took a sip, then another, and soon the entire bottle was empty. Intoxication flooded his mind, weakening his control. The smell of the roasted meat began to tempt him, and he told himself, just this once will not matter. He devoured the meat. With his senses dulled and his control gone, the image of the woman from the 3rd room filled his mind. He entered her room and he indulged in his desire. In the cold light of the morning, the priest woke up, and the horror of his actions, the wine, the meat, and the broken vow, crashed down on him. Overcome by guilt and shame, and unable to face the people he had sworn to guide, he stumbled into the 4th room, placed the noose around his neck, and took his own life. The king, upon hearing the news, stood in sorrowful silence. The man who was free to choose only one crime had, in the end, committed all 4. The old king's words, filled with sorrow, contained the core lesson. The greatest enemy of man is not outside, it is his own mind within.
The priest's downfall did not begin with the final major crime of suicide. It began with the single small step of picking up the wine bottle. He allowed his mind the smallest indulgence, believing it to be a harmless exception. But that one crack was enough to shatter the entire wall of his self-control. His life became a chain reaction where the first compromise only paved the way for the next, more destructive one. This story is a powerful reflection of our own lives. We are not undone by the single grand failure we dread, but by the accumulation of small, seemingly insignificant compromises we make every day. The tragedy of the priest teaches us the brutal, unforgiving law of the domino effect of indulgence. This law states that self-control is not something you lose all at once. You lose it in stages, beginning with one tiny, seemingly negligible choice. The moment you give your mind a little freedom, that is the moment it seizes control and starts dictating your life. We must recognize that the mind, once granted a small indulgence, will always demand more. This is how addictions and bad habits are born. not from a single massive failure, but from a series of small just this once decisions. Here are 5 practical modern examples of this dangerous domino effect in action. Social media and focus. The tiny indulgence begins with checking one notification, one small step. This leads to the first 10-second scroll of the feed, the second step. Soon, that single check-in turns into an hour of lost focus, preventing you from starting the important work you intended to do. The small act of checking the phone has destroyed your entire day's productivity.
Health and nutrition. You tell yourself a single slice of cake, the small compromise, won't hurt your diet. But that sugar spike breaks your streak of discipline, leading to a craving for more junk food tomorrow, and before you know it, you're back to your old, unhealthy routine. The initial cheat meal was the first domino that knocked down your entire fitness goal. Financial discipline. The small choice is making a single, unnecessary online purchase on an impulse. You rationalize it as a treat. But this action weakens the mental boundary you set for saving, making the next impulse purchase easier, which leads to credit card debt and an inability to build wealth. SEO keyword, financial discipline. Procrastination on work. SEO keyword, work ethic. The temptation is to delay a crucial task for just 10 more minutes. That 10 minutes becomes an hour, which creates a rush of stress and poor quality work right before the deadline. The seemingly innocent delay has damaged your reputation and your quality of output. Toxic relationships. SEO keyword, self-worth. You choose to ignore a small disrespectful comment from a friend or partner, rationalizing that you don't want to fight. This act of accepting a minor injustice gives the other person and your own mind permission to cross the line again. The small indulgence of avoiding conflict leads to a massive loss of your self-respect and your peace. Self-control is not a punishment, it is your ultimate protection. Do not let your mind fool you with the words, "It's okay, just this once." A strong person is not one who fights others, but the one who first conquers the tempting voice in their own mind. The powerful lesson from this tragic story is simple. Guard your first thought. Your mind is either your most loyal friend or your most dangerous enemy. The difference between a lifetime of peace and a path of ruin is determined by how you handle that first tiny temptation. Do not allow the cat of small indulgence into your life, because it will quietly take over everything before you even notice. If this story has given you the courage to recognize the quiet, destructive compromises you've been making, hit the like button and share this with one friend who needs to hear this powerful message. Subscribe to our channel to receive the hidden wisdom that will change your life forever. Stay alert, stay aware, and stay blessed.